Good evening, everybody. Could we start with apologies for absence?
Chairman, all members are present.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest in matters before the meeting tonight? None. Thank you. In which case, can we approve the minutes of the last Cabinet meeting, page 1 to 10 of the agenda? Is that approved?
Yes.
As usual, to confirm that items 5 to 8 on the agenda will be heard in public, and those in part 2, which are agenda items 9 to 14, the final item, number 15, has been postponed to another meeting, and those Cabinet reports will be held in private. So, on to the first agenda item, which is agenda item 5, page 11, External Services Scrutiny Committee, an update on efforts to tackle child sexual exploitation. Councillor Simmons.
Well, thank you, Leader. As the ongoing publicity about child sexual exploitation cases has demonstrated, no part of the country can be complacent when it comes to dealing with this. I think we are seeing both historic failings coming to light on a regular basis, and also a lot of, shall we say, learning opportunities for public agencies, not just councils, but police and NHS as well, as to how they might do the thing that they do to prevent child sexual exploitation much better. So this report, which Councillor Riley is going to introduce in just a moment, is an update on the work which has been going on in Hillingdon. I think it's important to see it in that context. A good deal has been done in the past to improve our position. This is a snapshot of where we are now with some helpful recommendations, and doubtless there will be more things that we can do in the future. But Councillor Riley, could we hear from you first?
Thank you, Leader. It gives me great pleasure to present this report to Cabinet on page 11 of the papers, which details our recent single meeting review of child sexual exploitation in Hillingdon. Child sexual exploitation is an issue that falls within the remit of 3 policy overview committees at Hillingdon and the Corporate Parenting Board as well. And as such, to ensure a joined-up approach to the review, we invited the Chairman and Labour leads of Children, Young People and Learning and Social Services, Housing and Public Health Policy Overview Committees to join members of the External Services Scrutiny Committee. And as you will see from page 13, there were 16 witnesses from a wide range of departments within the Council and partner agencies and organisations. There's been a significant amount of training undertaken in the borough since a similar review was undertaken in 2015. This training has looked to raise awareness and understanding of child sexual exploitation and has been taken up by a huge range of organisations and frontline staff, including the Metropolitan Police Service, Hillingdon Hospital, pharmacists and Stockley Academy. As all councillors are a possible point of contact for parents or victims of CSE, we have recommended that CSE training also is extended to them, perhaps as part of upcoming member development days, or more especially specific days dealing with the training. Communication and information sharing is also improved since 2015, with robust protocols in place that enable partners to share information in relation to CSE. To develop this further, we've recommended that additional training and clarity be provided in relation to the procedures concerning reporting of missing children, and that the Council work with partner agencies to look at how delays in information sharing can be prevented. Currently, there is no CSE resource map available for Hillingdon to ensure that all agencies know what is available, and we've recommended the creation of a resource map be investigated. Even though there is a great deal of relevant and improving work going on, we're not in any way, as Councillor Simmons has said, complacent, and nor do we diminish this matter in any way. We are aware of past issues and problems and acknowledge lessons from them. And we are already looking at the threat posed by social media and the internet. The recommendations that we've included in the report look to build on the work already undertaken by partner agencies across the borough. On behalf of all members of the committee involved in this review, I'd like to thank all those council officers who participated and offer our sincerest gratitude to the range of witnesses who attended for their significant and valuable contribution. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Councillor Riley. As we see from the list of people that you called as witnesses, this was a very comprehensive run-through of what was going on in Hillingdon in this field. I think it's important to note that a helpful part of this is to consider the practicalities. It's those questions if you as a local councillor were contacted by somebody who you thought was a victim, or indeed somebody who you feared was a perpetrator, was someone that you came across in the course of your business. Who do you speak to about that? How do you report it? What's the process for dealing with it? What feedback might you provide to a potential victim about how they'd be supported? And I'm not convinced that we've got that sort of process right yet in the borough. I think we've still got a long way to go. And certainly having met some of our new social workers just a short time ago to talk about their experiences of arriving to work in Hillingdon, a lot of the frustrations that were expressed were not about the strategy. You know, the very good description that the strategy that we have is right, but about the practicalities, in particular, how easy it is to get hold of people in agencies that we work with very closely. Descriptions from social workers of just telephones ringing endlessly, being unable to contact people to progress really important work. So making sure that those basic things are working exactly as they should is so important. The recommendations which you've set out on page 11 are extremely helpful and comprehensive, particularly in the context of a new council that's due to be elected. I know there are other elections which people are thinking about at the moment, but with a new council due to be elected in a year's time, the development of a programme gives us the opportunity to think about how a new group of elected members are brought fully up to speed with their responsibilities and the opportunities there are for them in this context as well. And I think the work and the learning that's in here will be really helpful with that. So thank you very much, and I move the recommendations.
Any comments on those recommendations? If not, Councillor Riley, could you take thanks for Cabinet back to all the councillors that took part in this review? It's a very comprehensive piece of work, for which we thank you. Are the recommendations agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Agenda item 6, page 19, Hayes Town Transformation, proposed Botwell Bridge, Boardwalk. Douglas Mills, please.
Thank you, Leader. I move the recommendations at the bottom of page 19 and bring to members' attention that this is just another part of the overall improvements to the Hayes Town Centre that have been ongoing for a number of months now. Overall, just under or around £9 million is being invested into the Hayes Town Centre, and with the arrival of Crossrail getting ever closer, this will become another important part of the jigsaw. One of the things that we've identified was two things, really. One, that you can go over Botwell Bridge and not even realise, and even some of the locals didn't realise, that there's quite a nice canal down underneath the bridge. The way in which Botwell Bridge is designed, it's sort of hidden. This creates the opportunity of opening up and allowing the canal to be seen for what it is worth. But more importantly, I think also, is that it would increase the flow, because there will be an increase in both pedestrian traffic and also in cyclists from the station going up towards Cold Harbour Lane once all the developments have taken shape and Crossrail is fully operational. This is, as you can see from the diagrams which have been circulated, it's relatively minor, but it adds that extra capacity which is important to what is a very narrow passing point at the moment. We did explore whether the possibility of linking some of the town centre into the Nestlé site, but as that particular bridge arrangement would be much more extensive, and as the costings for that were getting into 7 figures, we decided that the value for money aspect on that couldn't be justified, and this Boardwalk was a much better option for this particular solution in this part of Hayes. So I'm looking forward to, now we're only about 4 weeks away, to the golden disc being, I was going to say unveiled, it's a bit difficult to unveil a golden disc that's being constructed at the moment at the top end of Cold Harbour and Station Road, but we're gradually seeing Hayes come to life with all these component parts, and certainly discussions with Crossrail are well advanced about how we actually improve the bit outside the station and along Blythe Road, where of course a lot of development has already taken place, both housing and business-wise. So this is another part of the jigsaw. I support the recommendations.
Recommendations agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 7, page 31, the Older People's Plan update. Councillor Cawthorne. Thank you, Leader.
Once again, it's a great pleasure to be able to move our Older People's Plan update and reflect on some very positive developments over the course of the last 12 months, with its clear link to the wider health and wellbeing strategy. I think this has always had at its centre the aim of promoting health and well-being of our older residents in many different ways, whether they are on the active side of the spectrum or rather less so. And I came across a quite striking statistic the other day, that loneliness among older people is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day in terms of causes of early death. What a powerful statistic, I thought. And I think, Leader, you hit the nail on the head when you were talking at the recent opening of the new facilities at the Ladygate Lane Bowls Club 2 or 3 weeks ago. You talked about this kind of thing being the best form of prevention. And I think providing that kind of social interaction and opportunities for it in a multitude of different ways is so very important. And I think that is what is behind so much of what is in this report. Among other things in the report, we've seen a number of areas go from strength to strength, including an increased uptake of free swimming. Tea dances continue to be extremely popular. I dropped into the one on Monday this week, and there's a great demand for those, and they take your hand off. They want as many of these as we can possibly lay on. So I think they're certainly a very good thing. And of course, the dementia service provision, that's been developing too, with an expanded group of partners in the Action Alliance and the extension of the coffee mornings to Botwell Library. So I could go on, but I've cited 2 or 3 examples really of the sort of ongoing work. And again, there is so much that is positive. And with that, I will move the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cawthorne. There is of the action plan details, fully details the work that has occurred. As I say, when we get these reports, this is one of the better things we do. 7,000 free burglar alarms for over 65s now. The next phase of burglar alarms will be an updated model, a much improved model. And I'm sure they will go, the next 1,000 will go as fast as the others. To have now over 3,600 over 80s getting free telecare line service, enabling them to stay in their own homes longer, is a really good thing. You rightly talk about the free swimming lessons and the uptake of free swimming. The brown badge scheme that we have in Hillingdon, I think there might be one other council that has some parking for over 65s. We've now got more than 10,500 active brown badges in this borough. The support we give to the clubs and associations, almost 40 outings, dances, various parties that they put on, funded by the council. It is good. It gives people somewhere to go to socialise, and this is why I think we are so successful in Hillingdon. It is breaking down the silos. This is not social care money, but it is social care. You don't have to do it in those silos that councils traditionally work in. So everything we do, the work with Age UK, we will continue to do. I had a meeting of the Leaders Initiative only this week and put out a challenge that there's more we need to do, and so hopefully we will see more happening in the coming year. Is the recommendation agreed? Thank you. Agenda item 8, page 45, the Carers Strategy Progress Update. Councillor Cawthorne.
Thank you again, Leader. Now, this is another report linked with the health and wellbeing strategy, this time demonstrating the ongoing improvements being made to support carers in the borough over the course of the last year, and it's full of facts and figures which illustrate the very significant progress that we've seen. One of the more significant developments over the last year for me, I think, has been the new Carers in Hillingdon contract, which has created a single point of access for carers. Since it began last September, also, I think we've seen the voice of carers more systematically represented at both strategic and operational levels, and I find this progress in this area particularly pleasing given my history of involvement in past parent-carer meetings. I think that is positive. One or two other positive things I will refer to also. The increase that we've seen in carers assessments in that same period, 513 were completed, 15.54% increase on the previous year. We've had, of course, the inaugural Carers Recognition Scheme, which took place 10th of May last year. The next one is coming up very soon. I'm looking at Councillor Hanger, the Carers Champion, and in doing so, I would acknowledge her tremendous work in championing this area of service. Very much looking forward to that event when it happens. These are people who are nominated by the Cared For. It was really quite a moving experience last year, but also very powerful in terms of how it's helping us to raise awareness of people in that situation. So that was tremendous. And I would also refer to raising awareness of carer support and services. And as at the 31st of March 2017, there were nearly 6,000 active adult carers registered with Hillingdon Carers Partnership, which is tremendous. I think that's as high a figure as it's ever been. 254 young carers referrals as well, which I think is evidence of more and more residents receiving advice and support in their caring roles. So much that's positive there as well. And with that, I will move the recommendation. Thank you.
Is that agreed? Thank you. We now move to part 2.